Well, how is the year starting off for you? Is it going great? Or is it just okay? Or do you feel a little bit like you're going crazy and you're way behind? Well, if that's you, I have some hope because you are not alone. Welcome to Allie on Life, where so far the best thing I can say about 2021 is that it's not 2020. Now, if one of your goals for 2021 is to write a book this year, I am here to help. I can offer a listening ear, a shoulder to cry on, maybe a little bit of advice. And so if that's something that you're looking for, make sure that you stay tuned all the way to the end of this video because I'll have some information for you. And also, don't forget to subscribe. That really helps me out a lot and it keeps you informed about what's going on around here. Okay, well, here is a fact. I love to start a fresh new year, just ready to go, ready to be successful and do all the things I have planned for the year. I also sometimes don't get started on that right away. In fact, it's really difficult for me to actually start on all of my New Year's stuff on New Year's Day because of all of the things that go on leading up to that day, right? We've got Christmas, we've got all of that. We have New Year's parties, if you had those, or just staying up late and wanting to sleep in on New Year's Day. And so even though it's a great year to kick off all of those great new goals and resolutions, it's also kind of, it's a day off. It's a holiday. So that puts me at January 2nd. And this year, January 2nd was on a Saturday, and I don't work on Saturday. And so then we're into January 3rd, and Sundays I don't work either. And so now January 4th came around, and that was a Monday, and I was ready to do all of the things. But at that point, there's just so many things to do. I have a new coaching program that I am involved in that I had to start out with, and there were some coaching calls that I didn't know about that came up early on Monday morning. And then I hadn't quite gotten my bullet journal set up, so I was working on that. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute and show you some of the things that I do have set up in there. But I was behind on that too. And there are a couple more things because there was this really great bundle that I had to buy at the end of 2020. And so I'm looking at all of those things, and a couple of those programs have already started, and I'm starting to feel this panic because, oh my goodness, I'm already so behind. So if you're thinking 2021 is only a week or so old and I am already behind, you're not alone. I'm right there with you. And I'm here to offer hope because it is not the end of the world. It's not the end of the year. It's the beginning of the year. And we still have time to make it great. So I want to tell you a couple of things that I am doing to set myself up well, even if it's the first week of 2021. And maybe it'll keep going into the second week of 2021. And maybe if I'm doing really well, things might actually start clicking by the end of January. But I do have a few things set up and I want to show you what those are. First, I have my bullet journal. And I'm really excited because if you saw my previous video about bullet journaling, I had one that I got for like, I don't know, $7 at a craft store that wasn't fantastic, but it was serving the purpose and I was using it and it was fine. But this year I got one from Barnes & Noble that's actually the official bullet journal. And it has some really great features to it that I'm pretty excited about. It has the log at the beginning, and that's really cool. The future log and also the index is already all printed out. The page numbers are already there, so I don't have to number those myself. There's a handy little key on the inside cover and some information in the back as well about how to use the bullet journal. And I'm just really excited because I love bullet journaling. I love the fact that it's so versatile and that you can do pretty much anything with it. In fact, if you look, you can see that I have changed some of the signifiers and I've mixed those up so that they make a little bit more sense as far as the way that I think and the way that I prefer to do things. For me, I don't want to do an X if I completed something. I want to check that off, and an X is actually if I didn't complete it. And anyway, there's just different things that I do to modify the typical bullet journal setup. I also don't really use a daily task log or a couple of other things that are pretty normal in a bullet journal. But it doesn't matter because once you get through the index and all of that, then it's sort of just a blank slate and you can do whatever you want to with it. So that's what I really like about it. And it was definitely my intention to get that all set up before I filmed this video. But that didn't quite work out. So I did a few things. I've got a few things set up in there. I have my index started, which was already done for me. So that was easy. And I migrated a few things over from my previous one. I really like the way that I do the weekly tasks set up. And so I will do a little more of a video on that at some point and show you more details on how I do that. Because it's one of those things that I have kind of created for myself that I think is kind of unique. And I really enjoy doing it that way. So it might help you out a little bit. But I also moved over a couple of the collections that I had in my previous one because I really like those. My course log, I'm going to put my word count tracker in there, and a few others as well. So I will probably throughout the year do a few more walkthroughs of my bullet journal and how I'm using that. I plan to use it for a content scheduler, for example, and I didn't get that set up yet either. I am also, for my daily personal habit tracking and like a happiness journal, using Amy Landino's Good Morning, Good Life journal, which I really, really love. And I got the first edition, which was a limited edition dated version. You can now get it in a 12-month version that is undated, which is kind of cool because then you can just get it, now or in a few weeks or whenever you get a chance to get a hold of that and just fill in those dates whenever you start going. So that's kind of cool. I appreciate that. It also has some fun stickers and bookmarks. And actually the updated edition is pretty great. And I kind of am sad that I don't have it. But the limited edition one that I do have is fantastic as well. And I don't have to write in the dates. So that is a bonus for me. I am also incorporating some of the planning and tracking material that I have with the Activate coaching program that I'm a part of with Ruth Sukup, and I'm really excited about that. I'll probably talk some more about that throughout the year as well, and how I'm progressing through that program. It's pretty cool. So I started that this week. I started a few other things, and wow, there's just a lot going on. I did get started on those things. And you can see when you look that I moved over my bullet journal and decorated the 2021 goals very beautifully, but it's blank. Now that's not to say I don't have goals. I actually do. I'm migrating those from my other journal because that's why I wrote those down. But they need a little work and some revision. And so actually copying them over is going to give me a chance to do that. I just haven't done it yet. And really there are a lot of things about 2021 that have not started well, just personally and in some other things that are going on in my life and in people's lives around me. We're still dealing with a lot of the junk that we dealt with last year. And that's okay, because guess what? You don't have to start off the year great in order to have a great year. You don't have to start off the year well in order to have a good year. And really, what we're hoping for in 2021 is a good year. We would really like to have a good year, right? A great year would be great. A good year would be good. Now, you do have to start the year with some goals if you want to be able to get to the end of the year and see how far you've come on those goals. You can't just sit down and say, oh, I made this much progress on something when you're not tracking that progress. So I definitely suggest starting out with some goals, even if it's just one or two things that you definitely know you want to do this year. They can be resolutions. I think of resolutions as more of I am definitely changing this thing about my life this year, where a goal is more of like I talked about in my last video, measurable, it has a deadline, that kind of thing. So you can actually have a mix of both of those to start off your year, and I do. But whatever it is, whatever your intention is, if you're picking a word for the year, people do that. My intention is focus, because that's difficult for me, and it's something that I really need this year. Focus on what I'm doing and the path that I am taking with my career. So whatever it is that you're starting this year off with, write that down. It can be in a bullet journal or whatever other journal that you have, just somewhere where you're going to be able to find it at the end of the year and look at it and say, did I meet that goal? Now, of course, it's great too, once you've written it down, to create a plan and do all of those things that I also talked about in my last video, so that you are setting yourself up well to actually meet that goal. But guess what? You don't have to have goals in order to track your progress. So if you're stressing out because you don't know what you want to do with this whole year, that's okay. You can have a good general idea of something good that you would like to start on and just start on it. Write down where you are right now, where you'd like to be, if not by the end of the year, maybe in a month or two, and track your progress. And you may find as you track your progress that goals sort of bubble up and you realize, oh, I'm here. I would like to be here. And write that down and track it. Whatever you do, don't get caught up in thinking it has to be perfect or you have to get it right or you can't start. Perfectionism is the enemy of progress. Let me say that again. Perfectionism is the enemy of progress. If you want to make progress on something, that doesn't mean getting it perfect. It means getting it better than where you are right now. And if you mess up along the way, that's just part of the process. If you don't exactly get it right, you can tweak it and pivot and keep going. You cannot be perfect. None of us can. It's impossible to be perfect. So why even try? Why? Just don't. Let it go. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to do something. You don't have to get it right. You just have to get it better. So what can you do better today? If there's something that's bothering you that you really need to get done, figure out what that is. Let me know in the comments. Go do it and then come back and let me know that you got it done. Let's cheer each other on, okay? So no matter how you started this year and how you're feeling about it at this point, just remember there's a whole lot of this year left. Let's make it the best that we can. Now, if you want to write a book, but you're struggling because maybe you're not sure that you have enough to write, or maybe you are not convinced that your idea is all that great, you kind of like it, but you're not sure it'll make a great book, or you're not even that confident in your skills as a writer, let's talk. We can either schedule a time. I've got a link set up in the description to this video where you can schedule that with me, or you can just email me, because sometimes writers are a little bit better at, typing than talking, and that's just fine too. You can email me, Allie at AllisonDuke.com. That is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Now get out there and tell your story, because someone needs to hear it.